because you
That
have,
was
so
25
here's
years
the
ago.
thing, and I want to be sensitive how I say it. You're a liar, and I don't always know. There was a penguin.
There was
The
a penguin.
Red Rock
25
Safari
years
Zoo.
ago, the Red Rock Safari Zoo had a penguin 25
I
years ago.
own the Red Rock Safari Zoo, and there was
You
no...
lied! Welcome to Tales from the Ditch. This is Sean. With me, as always, is Seth.
I will, as soon as I'm done texting, I will engage. I promise I will be part of this.
Thank you.
Starring Sean Moss, Seth Wildshoot. Guest starring Brittany, Augustine Cyborg, and Jessica Wildshoot.
Yes.
To let us know why we are just the worst.
One of these ladies is Seth's wife. Guess which one?
The answer may surprise you. 2 people in this room have seen my butt. Not Brittany. I want to be clear about that. Because I still am accountable to many people. So if there's Brittany, Sean, and Jessica, and 2 have seen my butt, you decide.
We're doing kids show now.
Butts.
Use deductive reasoning.
I want everyone to know before we start this show, I don't want to be here, but I'm under a contractual obligation. Sean and I have falling out, but my manager said it would be bad PR if I didn't show up. So we will be talking through a mediator the rest of the show.
That's right. We're actually recording in separate places at separate times.
I am in Chicago. Beautiful, murderless Chicago.
Yeah.
Is that too soon? They just had murders. Why?
I know. That's right.
Go ahead. I'm going to finish this text. I really am texting.
Chicago is nice the way that they have gutters set up. So when the blood runs down the street, you can just wash it down.
You're just doubling down on bad things.
I've never been a fan of Chicago or Detroit.
My grandpa came up from the pits in Chicago. And
Did he
now he's
really?
a very wealthy man.
Oh, wow.
He got a girl pregnant at 16. Worked his butt off.
No kidding?
Yeah.
What time period was that?
50 years ago.
What was, how did he become wealthy?
He got his master's, became the president of Baker and Taylor Books. Yeah.
Really?
Or vice president, whatever, way up there.
Nice. So, a college education paid off.
50 years ago.
Yes. Oh, okay. Fair enough. So it's not like a today success story where college doesn't matter.
Absolutely not.
Oh, well, where are you from?
Here.
Okay. I'm referring to Brittany. Sorry. Brittany, you've been from Nevada your whole life?
I have.
Were you born in Sparks?
I was born in Reno. Well, there's no hospitals in Sparks.
Oh, good. Actually, there's
now
Northern
there
Nevada.
is. You're right. Yes, I was born in Reno. I did live in Kansas for 4 years and Brazil for a little bit, but...
Oh, those are pretty similar, Kansas and Brazil.
Well, yeah. I mean, one has southern people and the other one is totally different.
The South.
Yeah.
I did technically live in a farming community in Brazil, so...
Fair enough. What took you to Brazil?
I went to teach English.
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
As, by yourself?
I went with a friend from school.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. What's sweet about Brazil? Speaking of crime.
Yeah,
How was
I heard
Brazil?
your last podcast, and I was all defensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've never been there, so I don't have
This
a right
is
to
why
say
we
it.
fell
but
out.
Unfortunately. Yeah, so
I'm engaged.
was your experience
I'm
much
engaged.
different from what everybody saw in the
Jess.
Olympics?
Yes, but the Olympics were in the South, which would be the equivalent of like New York, LA here, and
Okay.
I lived in a farming community, so totally different. But there was a World Cup stadium right outside the town I lived in, so
Oh, really? Fair enough. How long were you there for?
6 months.
On a scale of 1 to Kid Rock at Trump rally, how excited were you when you were down there? How happy were you when you were down
Well, I
there?
got really sick while I was there, so
Oh.
I was excited to be there. I still really miss it. I got a Brazilian tattoo. I love it there, but I get really sick every time. We went back to visit, and I got really sick again, so.
Does it say Brazil?
It says saudades, which is
Oh.
Brazilian Portuguese for, like, the pain in your heart when you miss something.
Oh, nice.
Well, now, don't you feel like a horse's toot?
What's the day of Soldado?
I don't.
Okay, just curious.
Do you have a degree, Brittany?
I do.
We actually have people with a degree. Usually we lie. So is it a bachelor's, master's? What is it?
Bachelor's.
In
Psychology.
Psychology. Jessica, what's your degree in? Get up to the mic. Look at you.
Education.
Education. Educating them children. You know.
That's what my portions of a degree are in as well.
Portions?
Secondary education.
I went to school for 8 years, fun fact.
Yeah, me too. Over the course of 26 years.
I'm trying to get a hashtag going. It's called Did Pastor Seth Murder Someone? Because in my last sermon, I alluded to it.
And
everyone leaned in. And then I went, all right, on to the next verse. And I never answered whether I murdered someone. And here's the thing. I wanted to bring it up on the podcast because Mike and Ryan thought I should be very clear. And I do. I need to be super clear about that. Because when you bring that up, that's pretty serious in a sermon to say, you know, I was planning to kill someone. And you have to give an answer for that.
Yeah. So in education, are you currently utilizing that degree?
Yes.
Yeah. That's also a first.
Jessica, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Being married to me, would you describe me as A, an emotional tornado, B, fun and calm, or C, an emotional tornado?
D, all of the above.
All of the above. Thank you. And do you want to tell, this was your first week of school back?
It was.
And are you recovering? Are you okay?
I'm okay.
You're surviving.
Yes.
You know what the cool thing is?
What?
You can say whatever you want.
No.
No one listens to this podcast from your work. Do they?
I don't know.
Oh, gosh. If I play John Mulaney, will you calm down a little bit?
I don't know.
We can watch that
It'll take me
later.
a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Is this
Who's
thing
the
on?
worst kid? Who's the worst kid in your class?
I can't go there.
What's his student ID number so I can look him up? Maybe read off his IEP. You're like, oh, had problems in first, did you? No, the thing I appreciate about this, and this is why I thought was a good dynamic, is so one, Brittany and Jess are both educated. They're both two brilliant people I know. Secondly, and this is part of the reason we wanted him on the podcast, is Brittany and Jess have two very different personalities, kind of like you and I. And they actually have something that a lot of people don't understand, which is the status of your best friend. Anytime someone says, oh yeah, these are like my 20 best friends, I'm like, no, they're not. They're not. You're like, oh, everyone's my best friend. I don't think you know what that means. They literally, because there's a story I want them to tell. There was a party they were at when they were younger. What happened? Jess looks like she wants to start it off.
I was just going to say, can you bleep out the part where you said that we were best friends? Because we might get in trouble.
Seriously. It's
Because
not
there's a
that.
competitive nature between women. Which
Yes.
I don't get. Remember?
Oh, because there's other women. who
Remember
will
when
say-
someone had issue with you and I being best friends and we sat them down and said, get over it? That's how we counseled them. And then they did.
Yeah,
That's what they get.
a lot of times.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens a lot. People are... I don't even know if people are jealous of friendship with me, maybe. But people are jealous of just having me considering the status of best friend.
I'm sorry,
to be
I was
somebody
lost
else.
in your eyes. I forgot what you were saying. But no, alright, they've run into that. Alright, so fine. Not
We don't
best
have to talk
friends.
about that.
Really good friends.
Best friends. What happened at this party? And this is seriously some crazy, like, this is, I don't trust it. A part of me doesn't. It's witchcraft.
It's
just so you know.
really, I mean, I think the way we found it is a little more exciting.
Yeah, go ahead. Lead off, Jessica, just like you want to. I love you. You're adorable. This is just like the best night ever. Because so many times I'm doing the podcast and I go, oh, it'll be nice if Jess is here. And here she is.
Here I am.
Right now she's flinging a butterfly knife around back and forth. So, like she does.
Every time.
Wait, Jess. Oh,
Yes.
before you go into this story and talk for the next 40 minutes, where were you born?
I was born in Frankfurt, Germany.
What?
Yes, the plot thinnens. And then you were in Texas?
Yes, we lived in Texas for a little bit, and then we moved here, pretty much.
So I think the question people are going to ask is, when you married me, what the heck were you thinking? Like, what's the deal? Because you're going places, and this is where I'm at, babe. I got a podcast. No. And you were praying for me before you met me. Mm-hmm. Which was very polite and nice. Very nice.
Yes.
And I was exactly who your dad wanted you to marry, who he had pictured.
Yep.
That went well. He was an ex-cop, by the way.
I'm sorry, can I backtrack a little?
Sure.
You were born in Frankfurt.
Yes.
Yes.
On U.S. Embassy soil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just in case you run for president, I want to make it clear.
Thank you.
You are a U.S. citizen.
He'd still call her a Kenyan. She's born in Germany. He goes, she was born in Kenya. You know, there's more places, man. Like, there's, more than Kenya. Anyway, she has a birth certificate, Dawn, as I call her.
Donnie.
Yeah, Donnie boy. Good
I
old.
get asked a lot if I have dual citizenship, and I do not.
Really?
Yes.
I was told I can apply for that easier in the Netherlands because my dad was born there, so it'd be easier. But I'd still have to do it. And I said, how dare you make eye contact with me? Okay, so who wants to start the story? I won't pressure you.
No, it's cool.
I just
have a really bad memory, so.
Do you? It's never come up before.
Yeah, one thing, I guess.
So anyway, back to the story.
Okay.
No, neither of you has to. Well, it's Brittany. Do you want to start it?
Sure.
She wants to.
So we were in the
Sip
romancing
your
each other
coffee,
phase of the
Jess.
relationship. Kidding, I'm joking. Sorry. No, we were getting to know each other, so we were looking at old picture books. And she had this picture on a horse, and I have this same exact picture from when I was like 3, I think. And I was like, wait a minute. I have this picture. What were you doing? And it was my cousin Andy's birthday party. And we were at the same birthday party. You must have been 5, 6. I was 3. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wait, you have the picture of Jessica
No,
on
it's
a horse.
me on the horse in the same roofs in the background. It's the same.
Okay. I gotcha.
background.
Fair
Yes.
enough.
Think of that. Horses. Party.
Bringing people together.
But that's kind of cool. I mean, like you and me, like you drove past Parr Boulevard and I served time there. Meant to be. So, I don't know.
Same thing.
Do you know one time I went over to my friend Flonzo's house, and he literally did have pictures of me from my high school graduation, and I don't even know how. Or his mom had the pictures.
Were they from behind a bush?
My
You could
mom-
see you looking over your shoulder.
My mom gave his mom pictures because that's what moms do.
Your
I
mom
guess.
didn't give me pictures
I know,
of you
it was
from
weird.
high school graduation.
So it was weird. I was like looking at the pictures on his fridge, and I was like, that's me.
Yeah.
That was weird. Remember that?
Oh, that's weird. You made a movie about him.
I know, but
No, legit. He made a movie
Romance.
about this guy. Yeah.
no, that doesn't exist.
I'll
Okay,
find-
sorry. Continue.
I think
Horse
that's a
picture?
story.
Pretty much it.
They were at the same party when they were younger, didn't even know it, became friends later on.
Yes, that was the point of the story.
Nice.
And the good news is everyone appreciated the friendship and
Yeah.
everyone raw.
So was this horse a common horse to use at parties?
Equestrian,
Sorry. Wow.
but I can't say
no idea.
PROM right.
I know.
But I could say equestrian.
That's true. Nuclear.
Nuclear.
Ooh, very
I've been
nice.
practicing. In
Fair.
front of the mirror, I'm all, you gotta want it,
Nuclear.
Seth. Come on. Brittany, what kind of drove you to pursue that degree? Was it purely, hey, I think I might be gifted? Was it actually like you had a passion about? What kind of drove you to go after that degree?
I got bored. When I got back from Brazil, I was an education major, and we were learning about lesson plans and all the things I had been doing as a teacher,
Yeah.
and I was bored.
Wanted something different?
Yeah, and psychology was the hardest degree at that school, so I just decided worth the challenge.
That's interesting.
And I was with Anthony, and psychologists get paid more the longer their last name is. And since I knew I was probably going to marry him, I thought, well, ka-ching.
There you go.
Nice. That's actually pretty genius.
I didn't know that about the last. If
Yeah,
I
it's
can
not
add a
like that
hyphen.
Psychologist.
Yes, I actually learned
Wild
it in
shoot
school.
a hammer, I can.
Just psychology, not criminal psychology, right?
It's marriage and family therapy.
Oh, interesting.
Mind your P's and Q's, Sean.
I know.
We don't need any
Uh-oh.
can of worms open.
I already feel like I've exposed quite a lot of dysfunction in my family tonight.
Well,
Spend the day at my house, you're fine.
the good news, though, is you and I are only crippled emotionally.
That's a good point.
Everything else. Yeah. So, Anthony's her husband. And I call him Cyborg because it's just a fun thing I do with his last name.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't even know if he appreciated it. I was like, that's just a fun thing I do is ruin names.
This is me.
This is me. That's how I am. Brittany, I want to ask you something. Are you hungry for justice?
Yes.
Do you have an appetite?
I think it got put to me in grade school as an overactive sense of right and wrong.
Didn't you apologize to black people walking by them?
Yeah, I did. I was young, so I know that's offensive now, but I was like 5. And yes, I did.
Oh, wow, really?
What if they grew up to go, remember that little white girl who said sorry? They're like, that was something. They're
was
just,
nice.
they're like, thank you. Just that little, you know what? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just, who knows?
I was really obsessed with the Underground Railroad, so I was reading a lot about it and watching a lot of stuff. And so
Gosh.
anytime in the grocery store, I would just, the guilt.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm actually really jealous of that because I feel like I was maybe 28 or 30 before I actually
Got woke.
got woke and realized there's faces behind all of that, slavery stuff. I bought into this rhetoric like, oh, that wasn't me. I'm guilty of being white. Like, that was my grandpa or my great grandpa. It's not my problem, blah, 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 blah. But now I really do feel a major responsibility or potentially guilt for what has happened. And it's really impressive that you were able to experience that at 5 years old. That's awesome.
I know. I was the same too. It was like 29 or 30. I read Anthony Bradley book and I go, oh goodness.
Yeah.
I'm
what
like-
have I been doing?
I'm like, oh, there's some issues in this country. And I went to Jess and I thought she would affirm me. I'm like, can you believe that? He said this, and she keeps washing the dish and turning away from me. I'm like, oh my goodness, she agrees. This might be true. And I was like, do you not find all my jokes funny? And she's like, well, I'm like, oh my glob. This is a whole world opening up. Remember, Jess, when I started reading books that were unpopular and dangerous, those books that tell you maybe you don't have to vote a certain way? Your family's not listening, don't worry.
Yes.
Except maybe Uncle Mike. Shout out to Mike Galapagos on HLN. No, is it Galanos? So her uncle's on HLN and he got to interview Lecrae.
What?
Yes.
That's
Really?
her.
Nice.
Your
Yeah,
uncle?
her
Yeah.
uncle.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your uncle? Does he live here?
No, he's in
No.
Georgia.
They moved to Georgia.
Yeah,
You gotta get him on the
Awesome.
podcast.
Many years
I gotta
ago.
get that tape.
They come around in the summer, so
And
maybe
talk to
next
me.
summer.
We gotta get him on the show.
Dude, he's dope. He's cool.
You know
He's
what's
a nice
interesting?
guy, he really is.
You say this in jest about when you started reading books that had ideas that were contrary to what you were familiar with, but I remember that period specifically because I feel like I was slower to conform to not a social justice platform, but like
Yes.
a platform of understanding people in the image of God.
You were an anarchist.
And an anarchist, so I just didn't want to be told what to do. But I remember this. I remember somebody, because Jessica is Korean, right? You half Korean.
Yeah.
Born in Germany, half Korean. Quite a lot going on there. But I remember somebody said, I can't even remember who or when, but somebody said something about you or your Jessica or her heritage knowing kung fu or something like that. And that was really offensive. And I understood why that was offensive because the kung fu and
That's
Korea
Chinese,
are
by the
very,
way. Yeah.
are very, very separate. And so that's lumping cultures in. And obviously it was offensive. And I understood that. And so I was like, oh, yeah, like, of course, that's stupid. But I remember I said something. I can't remember what I was saying exactly, but I remember we were making fun of the Phantom Menace Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And I think I used a term that's making fun of the what's the race of people? Can you remember?
Those frog fish guys,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're like kind of a caricature
They are.
of a Japanese.
They're making fun that their accent is a caricature of Japanese culture.
It totally
and language,
is.
yeah.
And I used the term because I was disgusted in the writing and the poor direction in that movie. But I used that term, and I remember you called me out on it, and you said, "Hey, it's not okay to say that anymore." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! First of all, I'm making fun of Star Wars. Second of all, it's an offensive term about Japanese people. It has nothing to do with Korean people." But Seth was so defensive because he says it doesn't matter. Like, this is what being sometimes when you're Korean, this is the type of thing you have to deal with. Like, that is not appropriate. And I was like, gosh, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're always okay with me being gently racist.
Yeah.
And socially acceptably racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
socially acceptably racist.
it totally was. And I was like, gosh, am I wrong or is Seth wrong? And it took weeks for me to like argue with myself and figure this stuff out. And I remember I realized I was like, oh my gosh, I've been insensitive to many groups of people, and it wasn't even something that I understood or thought was important or anything like that. And so I remember I started actually trying to be more skillful with my words, use my words good, and try to be more appropriate
That's some good talk.
with things, not for the sake of political correctness, but for the sake of sparing somebody offense. And so it was interesting.
Yeah, I think, because here's the thing, and Brittany and I have talked about this, and Jess, I think we need to go beyond political correctness. I don't give a crap about what's politically acceptable. I care about, are you demeaning the Imago Dei? Mm-hmm. If you say they're made in the image of God and you're dehumanizing that, it's unbiblical and sinful. I don't care about, I won't be accepted. I'm not running for office unless people get really cool with a lot of things real quick to go Java. Like, I could never run. It's the fact of, if Jess is made in the image of God, Brittany's made in the image of God, I'm made in the image of God, if I for a second diminish it below what God values it as, or values them as, of him saying, this is who they are, and I go, nope, they're lower, they're less, that's evil. Anything, even a degree off from what God says. To just go, alright, here's a perfect example of subtle racism. You're a credit to your race.
Yeah.
Gosh, you are so articulate for a black person. You're refined, you're oh my gosh. Or this, I went to college. Oh, what sport did you play? Now here's the thing. No one asked me what sport I played because they took 2 looks at me. But this was asked to an African American scholar who's like 5'9", he doesn't look like sports, but, what did you play? And here's the thing. I don't believe that person woke up that day and said, I want to destroy what God built. But there's these subtle things.
And then there's the not so subtle.
Oh, there's the not so subtle of, you use terms like parasite, get out, blah, blah, blah. That's the people with the jacked up haircuts and stupid khaki pants, and actually,
I would say
people,
even my best friend growing up, she was like my sister, she lived with us for a little bit. She's, her dad is actually Libyan. And she went to a church in Washington and they told her, it's okay, you're white in our eyes. And I was like,
Whoa.
Good job. Good job.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did she go to Jerry Falwell's university or where? Okay.
It was just a small church in Washington, but she was 13, I was 15, and that was the first time I had really sat with someone in the pain of that, and that was a huge eye-opener for me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my grandpa used to, so my great-grandpa was extremely racist, and he justified it saying, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with black people, but I'm just saying that black people and white people don't mix. And I feel like even that is is not so subtle racism.
Yeah.
Even if you're not saying anything derogatory, by saying that we're somehow different, I feel like that's like extremely dangerous.
It's alright, and I don't know if you've read about this, Brittany. Let's have all 3 white people talk about race.
Yeah, it's good. It's refreshing, actually, to hear our opinions.
Finally, we just say, well, here's something I saw interesting. It was from a person of color. Here's the thing. If someone says, and it has been brought up, originally when they said the idea of race, it was socially constructed to demean and tear down people. Here's the reason why I'm careful saying that, is because often the people who say that don't use it in a positive way. They use it as a way to get out of the discussion. Like they say, race is a social construct. Thus, there's no racism. Stop talking about it. Instead of saying, your pain is real, there is racism, but really genetically, we need to stop acting like, oh, we're physically, genetically different. Race was created by white people to differentiate, to say, well, it's okay to treat you as less than human because you're not the same type of human as me. And really what we're seeing is, you have different colors, different ethnic groups, different things like that. But when you really get into race, we have a lot of the same structure. I mean, that's where you got into some dangerous stuff, World War II, where you said, oh, we have different genetics, we're different races. But here's the thing. Usually when I bring that up and say race is a social construct used to usually take away power from people of color and give power to people who are white, is because what it's associated with, it's usually not helpful. And I know that most people, even though it may not be 100% accurate, know what I mean when I say racism or talk about race. They go, oh, black, brown, they know what I'm talking about. And it's the context we're in. I know that they'll understand the dialogue and they go, okay, I get what you're saying. I use it because that's kind of where they're at. If I get into deeper conversations, that's when I start getting into, hey, do you know we used to say Italians and Irish people aren't white? It's not just a color, it's a social status. It's been used really to say, I'm lifting these people up and dehumanizing these. So it's just, it's a complex discussion, but I think it's helpful a lot of the time to say racism, even though we're one race, because that's what we know in this country is we say different races, even though really I know a black person or Latino person is not genetically inferior or different than me. It's just, we've done some social constructs to tear them down and destroy them. Or God forbid, if you want to really go into a deep end, how many Native American theologians do you follow? I follow one, which I found after 5 years, because we decimated them. Alright? Hey, and everyone, I know this podcast could be super popular, but, it's, I don't know, is that clicking? Is that, cause it's a deep conversation, I think, with, all that. So everyone in the room.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
So I run a support group for transracially adoptive and foster parents.
There you go.
And I really prefer to call it cultural background when we're talking about these things because, and from my experience, in Brazil, because the Dutch took over at one point and they also brought in slaves from Africa, you can look like...
Bloody Dutch.
And Puerto Rico's the same way. So you can look like anything, blonde hair, blue eyes, you can look like anything. And so someone's experience in life as a Puerto Rican or a Brazilian, or there's a Myrate out there that I'm missing, I know, could not be based just on skin color, but on cultural heritage and cultural background. So I think that's something we need to acknowledge a little better.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
You see that in the UFC. There's fighters who say they're Brazilian and they're pale white or dark skinned.
Yeah.
And it's funny, some of the UFC fighters didn't agree because one said, well, you're from the slave culture and I go, whoa! And they were both different cultures, different colors, Brazil.
Yeah, racism, I feel like, existed long before the Dusty Whites.
The Dusty Whites.
I mean, I do believe, cultural background, is that what you...
Yeah.
Is that how you put it? I think that's pretty good because I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe, how the... white people rose to this point where they decided they were going to discriminate against other people was because those were the people, epigenetically speaking, who were not in the fields and not doing work in the sun. They were the people who were protected from the sun for whatever reason. And even, 8,000 years ago, Are you saying
the planet's older than 5,000 years, Sean?
Of course it is.
Leviathan died in 1942.
Of course it is.
Fighting Hitler with an American flag in her hand.
8,000 years ago is as far as I'm willing to go. So you got 2,000 years since Christ, and then 6,000 years before that. I think that's pretty fair, right? Wouldn't you say?
I'd say maybe it's.
But you understand that there was clearly racism in the Book of Genesis, and
I agree.
There was, and it was less like skin color, and it was more that cultural background. But I think it eventually became an issue of skin color, as there was, some sort of adaptation or something like that. But unfortunately, like the belief that might makes right is, how we've ended up in this situation where the people who, the haves, are able to depose the people who have not.
Are you drinking a Coors?
I'm drinking a Coors Light.
Jessica, I'm going to give you a few minutes to process, and then we'll revisit it.
Thank
So I'm going to say, think about what in teaching, like what is it about that kind of like draws you to it, or why you want to be a teacher, what you're passionate about? Because I think you're an amazing teacher.
Thank you.
I've actually seen you, embarrassed you while you were teaching. Fantastic. Like, she loves her kids. So I'm going to give you the next couple of minutes to think about what you like about teaching, what are the challenges, and then I'm going to go on a tirade and a rant for a few minutes, and then we'll come back to you. Does that work better?
Yep.
I appreciate you so much. The two people who saw my butt is Jess and Sean. For those who didn't get, how do you not get that? There's three people.
The nice thing about having guests is they give Seth more line to run with on his rants.
Yes!
That's the best thing. Is you have a guest here so that they can create a platform for Seth to speak from.
Here's the thing. It's because, alright, if it's just you and me, we've run our course, man. Like
it's true.
I'm not surprised by what you do. You're not surprised by what I do. And people go, oh, Seth and Sean talk about butts. But Brittany will actually push back and go, hold on, Pastor Seth. And I go, what are you saying? And I appreciate their input. And I think we also need to thank our sponsors. The Jimmy Swaggart Ethics Award. The Joel Osteen Theological Accuracy Award.
Thank you, Joel.
And I was going to say another one, but it might be too soon because I don't want to support his downfall. We'll talk a week later. Yeah, I just read it. Another guy.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
The Franklin Graham for political awareness.
Can I get a little crazy? Sponsored by the Tulian Chavidian Marriage Counseling Series.
Oh, so good. You need to find a woman you know to disciple when you're struggling in your marriage.
He did good. He stepped down.
You'll just edit what you said. You'll make me say it. You know who was cool though? I will say this. And a lot of people like theologically don't mention him. But you know who I really think is cool? Ben Savage.
He is cool.
Yes. And
he's
Fred
great.
Savage.
Oh my gosh. Fred Savage kind of
which
took a
one
dark
was the
turn.
Boy Meets World one? Ben or Fred?
Ben has legitimately always been kind of like that wholesome ABC mindset. Fred's got some dark humor, and I love it.
Jess, question. You have taught 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and 1st?
Yes.
Okay, so you to me come across as someone who truly, when you teach kids, you may say, I'm just doing my best. But you do really seem to care. You do really seem to, when they act out, go, what's going on? And you've been teaching how many years?
So I got my first teaching job in 2010.
So 7 or 8 years.
And then I took, I guess, a year off after I had Maverick.
After Maverick, yeah.
So I taught for 2.5 years at the private school.
Yeah.
And then the rest was with the Washoe County School District in the public school.
Do you love our two boys?
I do.
The Pickle and Maverick. What is it? Okay. What do you love best about teaching, and what's the hardest thing about teaching? Like, what do you go, man, this is kind of a win? Mm-hmm. Like, if this happened, you go, that's pretty cool. And what's the hard thing when you come home and go, I'm done. I don't want to be a teacher anymore. I'm totally done. Sponsored by Butts.
I think bare bones teaching is what made me fall in love with it, is just teaching kids and seeing them get things for the first time. It's a creative outlet because you have to think outside the box sometimes to get kids to understand what you're trying to teach them. I like the primary age kids because they're first learning to read. That's always exciting to see the growth that comes from that. And the hardest thing about teaching is everything.
Can you give an example?
Oh my gosh.
Do they laugh when you teach about Uranus?
I try
It's
not
Uranus now.
Yes.
Is it Uranus?
Uranus, that's better.
Which is, yeah, a little.
Yeah,
urine.
a little.
Yeah.
Still urine.
Oh,
My kids, I actually
Uranus.
did teach about Uranus, and I Googled it to see how to pronounce it because I wasn't sure, but the kids just laugh anyway.
what did Google say?
Uranus.
I'm so done with this
Uranus.
country. It's not just Trump. Trump was there, but that's the last straw.
You talk about political correctness. Uranus?
Oh, sorry. Uranus. You know, we used to have a nativity scene everywhere, and then Uranus came around, knocked it all over. Do you remember that?
I did a report on Saturn.
Every show had a family and a flag, and we said Uranus, and there was Rosie a Riveter, and I could walk my neighborhood and be proud at the steel mill such and such. What was
I
the
still
50s
say
like? You still say Uranus?
I do. Like when I was, Maverick has that flashlight with all the planets.
What'd you say?
I said, this one's Uranus, and he goes, my anus? And it's just a good time.
Top 3 stand-up comedians you love.
John Mulaney,
Mm.
Jim Gaffigan,
Wow.
And who's the third?
and John Mulaney.
Oh my gosh. You're not a huge Chappelle guy, even though I am, because he says certain words you don't appreciate.
He's a little crude.
Brian Regan?
I like him, but not, like, I wouldn't choose to watch him.
He's like a dad you follow around to see make
I
silly
liked
jokes.
him on the Coffee in Cars
With Jerry Seinfeld?
comedians.
Yeah.
Comedians in Cars with Coffee.
No
I
one
don't know.
knows. It's cool. I watch
Whatever it's called.
Castlevania on Netflix. I'm not going to judge you. I'm like, oh, Vampire Hunter. Let me prep my sermon.
That show is great.
Oh, season 2, October. Remember.
I'm curious about your best friendship. And maybe we'll bleep that out.
Why don't you
It's fine.
mind
We
your
were, we were
business?
joking.
It's
Yeah, we were just kidding. It's
interesting.
cool.
There's
No.
definitely a different dynamic that I've noticed from my male perspective with female friends and or best friends. And it's common. I think like Seth and I have said, wow, having like a best friend, like a lifelong friend isn't a very common thing anymore.
Doesn't always happen.
Mm-hmm.
People
I
suck.
feel like it's less common. This is a sweeping generalization, but
Go
it's
on.
even less common with women.
Yeah.
Is
And-
that true? Is it less common with... Because I look at dudes and they're like, I've known this guy a year. I'm like, well, step it up. Is it less common with women, a lifelong friend?
If you are lifelong friends, maybe the level of friendship might be different. I mean, I have a friend I've known since I was 5, and it's just we're not as close.
You're not BFFs.
I'll tell you,
But-
if you murder someone
afraid she's
together,
gonna listen to
oh
this.
my gosh, that's a friendship
That
because you
bonds
have
you.
to keep the secret.
bonds
Because
you
if
for
someone
years.
doesn't, 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead. Remember that.
That's word. I get it.
I'm just saying that bonds
But-
you because you'll go to prison.
But what I'm saying,
Troy,
what I'm saying is that may be true between us. But is that true between females? What bonds you to be best friends?
they prefer females.
Is that not what I said?
Goodness.
It is.
Okay.
Sorry. Hashtag woke. Hashtag did Pastor Seth murder someone? Which we need an answer for, and I appreciate that. Continue.
Yeah, please.
What bonds us? I don't know. Our love of coffee, our love of Target.
The Bachelorette.
Target.
I don't actually, I that was obligatory to Jessica. I don't actually like it. I just want to spend more time with her and build our friendship. So,
Just
Fair
like
enough.
watching the depravity of men crumble while she says, "You're not the one I choose. I take your rose."
listen,
And
the
then
guy
it
from
goes.
Reno won, so you guys should just...
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes.
There-
They could
wait,
be
there
in
was a guy from Reno?
right
Yeah.
now.
Dude, and he won, and he murders homeless people, and he won. Isn't that crazy?
Wow, crazy.
Like, he kills them, and they're like, yeah, it's fine.
That's crazy. What was his name?
Garrett?
Garrett something.
I bet
Zach,
we
you know
him.
entirely too much about The Bachelorette.
I love my wife.
It's
Promise
my
keepers.
fault.
Hashtag keeping promises.
Yeah.
Hashtag woke.
So, like, we would say murdering someone together and having to bury that person would bond you for life,
Yes,
or
they-
fighting
It's a
back to
bonding
back in a
thing.
bar
I
fight.
knew Sean
Bonding
was my
activities.
friend when he crossed the police line at a crime scene and stole my stuff. Well, you had a gun in your
For
car,
him.
right?
I
Didn't you
stole
have a
it
gun
for
in your
him.
car?
Yeah. I mean, statute of limitations.
That's when I was like, the statue of limitations.
But yeah, what are the types of things that would bond female friends?
Yeah,
Maybe
who
it's
have
the
you
same
murdered?
thing.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. I think it's less about what bonds you because on some level, most women, I mean, most moms that I know enjoy Starbucks and Target and hanging out together. That's not...
So that's not it.
No, I think there's an emotional aspect to it of someone who's willing to sit with you, really show empathy and really willing to sit with you. And I think for Jessica, for me, it was that every time I came to her, I grew spiritually a ton. And she was not afraid to speak truth to me. And I really appreciate that in someone. But I think the struggle for girls is not that. I think the struggle is that when we hit hard times, we shut down and we're like, you're done. So I think that's why there's not as many. That's totally speculation in my own experience.
Outlandish.
Yeah, my own experience is you get in a fight and then you just stop being friends. It's very... Yeah, I mean, I had one friend that we fought a lot, but it was more of her, like, attacking me as a person. And so it was just kind of something that I had to let go. But a lot of my other friendships, I couldn't pinpoint, like, one time where we were just done. Like, it just kind of ended, and that was it, and I'm not really sure why. That's most of my friendships. So, I think it's like the maintaining and the conflict resolution, I guess.
Yeah.
And even in leading women, can I say this? In community group, it's very different than how Seth has told me that men deal with conflict. Women, it's very like, you have to kind of make them feel better about themselves, and you can't just say hard things and have them accept it
Unless you're
really
me.
well.
And then it goes very badly for you.
Yeah.
Do you both
She
like
tried her
Gilmore
best.
Girls?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that seems like walking and talking. It seems like cardio and talking half the show. And they're super cool, but there's walking. How many calories are they burning every
I don't
episode
know.
walking and talking?
Yeah, is Gilmore Girls directed by the guy who directs The West Wing? Is it the same person?
Because they're always walking.
Because it's like the
it's
same.
a
Cause-
I think it's Lauren Grant. Or not, no, Lauren Graham's the actress. No, it's a woman, I think.
Because they're like, I want to talk to you, be in a friendship. Oh, we're in a relationship? No, I said friendship. Okay, let's go to in. What in? My in? Oh, that's quirky. Oh, crazy. Oh,
Like,
am I
check
your
out our
sister?
vocabulary.
Am I your
Here's a
mom?
word
Oh,
you
are you
haven't
my
heard in
daughter?
20
Oh, I
years.
don't know. That's crazy. Are we best friends? Let's go. Oh, that's a witty comment. Let's have food with Luke. And I'm going to lead him on.
Mother-daughter, first of all. Second of all, there's a lot of really great references to a lot of very cultured things in that show. Some of them I didn't pick up till I watched it through for the fourth time.
She should have stayed with Jesse and married him. Okay? Logan, really, Jess?
Yeah, that
Logan?
was bad.
Logan, he's all, hey, I'm a D-bag, but
I mean, Jess wasn't awesome, but he was just so dreamy.
did you see
And
his
so
butt?
smart.
He was packing. It was like 2 little cantaloupes in his pants.
Oh
Goodness. Good gracious.
But now he's Jack
voted.
on This Is Us, and it's even better. Like, fantasy fulfilled. Done.
I just wonder, I'm like, no wonder they're
for the
fit,
mustache.
because while they're talking, they're burning 4,000 calories a day of going, I'm your best friend. No, you're not. You're my daughter. Can't we be both? Okay, here's the in. And then their mom's like, I'm rich and white and angry. Bah! That's why I got from the show. Contractually obligated to be here. Joel Osteen, lose my number. Go ahead. What was it? What we talk about?
Oh, that's it. So, question. Psychology degree.
Yeah.
Family counseling.
Don't feel ashamed. Don't let them bully you.
Is that what it's called?
Yep. Well,
Marriage-
marriage and family therapy, MFT.
Marriage and MFT. I always thought that was something else.
Mother-
Fair enough. So, what have you utilized that degree in your life? I'll say first.
Not in a way that gets me paid. We are foster parents and adoptive parents, so it has come in handy.
Yes. So what are some actual, if you could say the top 3 things that you learned in school that you've been able to utilize in life, what are those top 3 things? So that I don't have to go to school.
So I actually got my Bible degree at the same time, and that actually turned out to be a little more useful.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. But I will say I learned a lot about autonomy, and about how that should look in a family. And I would say my mother and I it's a complicated thing. And so kind of learning about autonomy and letting my kid be their own person, that's been really helpful for me. But I think mostly I just appreciate having the DSM-4 so that I can diagnose all of the people in my life. That's all. And tell them how they're just doing it wrong.
Fair enough. Can you define DSM-4?
It's the diagnostic book. So all of the mental illnesses are in one book with explanations as to what they are and the qualifying traits that you need to be showing to be diagnosed.
Does that have the PTSD test in it?
It just has like traits.
She had a book with PTSD, how to test yourself. I did not pass.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like pass like I don't have it. Didn't go well. I put that book down and was shuddering and crying and...
I saw a counselor once and he fired me.
You lied to that counselor about... You said you lived in a trailer park.
I know, but I think he was looking it up in the book and he was like, you're not fitting into any of these categories.
I would say, beyond that, we did do one called Self of the Helper, or the Skilled Helper, and I know Mike Cox is doing the same book, so they must be using it. But learning how to sit with someone and ask them questions outside of yourself and questions that kind of lead them, because that's sort of my problem. I'm kind of a know-it-all. So I'm like, obviously your problem is lying. Like, don't you see that? But learning how to lead people to come to those things, which actually was really helpful in leading a community group, kind of asking leading questions to help them come to their own realizations and really pull myself out of it.
What's that book called?
The Skilled Helper.
So autonomy, when you say it's good to let your kids kind of be themselves, how does that play out in praxis?
So look, it's really hard for me. I'm kind of a control freak. So like my son loves to say poop. He loves it. When I ask him what he learns about in
now
school.
We're talking.
Yeah,
all right.
every day. What did you learn in school? Poop. What did you eat for lunch? Poop.
Your son's like hilarious.
So it's like, that's so hard for me to just not be like, no, poop's inappropriate. We don't need to say that. But just letting him, like, I went and bought him some books about poop because he loves poop. And so why not? Yeah. Or letting him get extremely dirty. His likes, his dislikes, it's all on him.
You and Anthony are truly America's sweethearts. Now that I think about it. That's awesome.
So to some degree, you have to let your kid be themselves and say poop. As long as it's not, where do you draw the line? As long as it's not hurting other people, or as long as it's not in the realm of sin?
Yeah, I would say hurting other people. It's really hard for me. There's some days where I'm like, leave all my things alone. I have a perfectly clean house and I want to keep it that way. But yeah, that's a lot of times I have to step back and really assess myself, which Self of the Helper there, that was apparently the best class ever. And just like, what is this actually hurting and why am I upset about this? What is this triggering in me? And then deciding then if it's something that we really need to address or not.
Jessica, you're married to one Seth Jacob Wildshoe. Is that not true?
It's true.
So we both agree that is your husband. Okay. We have 2 boys, Maverick and Riker. What is awesome? And what are times where you say, I'm going to sell these little boys on the black market? You're tired from the wine, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
And also, Riker has not been sleeping, so that is when I most want to sell them.
Oh my gosh.
In the middle of the night.
If you want to hear her tone of voice change, wait for Riker 4 a.m. to go, and you're sitting there going, he'll calm down. No, he won't calm down. That's a lie.
It is a lie.
So when they say mama, when they show their personality, those are some cute things.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly good.
Is it?
Yes.
You hesitate. They both have two different personalities, so it's cute to see Maverick go, oh, I wouldn't trust him. When he's talking about Daniel Tiger, how he doesn't trust him. Mm-hmm. They have some bad blood. But what's the thing where you go, man, when they do this, I really question the cross. Like, is it just sleep, or is it when they pull knives on us?
Mostly the sleep. I don't know. I guess I'm surrounded by children all day.
Oh, sweet Lord.
And so sometimes it's not even Maverick. It's just that I'm, like, tapped out, done, managing little people. And so I think he pushes my buttons when he's just being himself and he's just being silly, but I'm over it by that point. Yeah.
I've brought up selling them. Have you changed your mind about that?
No.
See, there was a second pause again, and I just want to bring that up. Like,
no.
You don't want to pray about it, or...
I think we would miss them once we did sell them.
No, let it be silent.
We do love our children.
I will say this, one thing I love is my wife, regardless, having to deal with insanity like me. I had to be a lead pastor of a church for 8 months, and she had my back the whole time, which is dealing with our two little nighttime terrorists who just go, why do we need sleep? I want to yell. Or I want to watch a penguin sing this body-shaming song for 5 minutes. And, yeah, we...
Was that, are we thinking of the same thing? With the penguin?
What song? What are you thinking of?
I don't know about a song. I'm thinking about, an experience we had at the zoo. The penguin.
Did we go to a zoo?
One time.
Alright, I want to be clear, and to the audience, I'm not firm in this. Do you know how many drugs I was on? When did we go to a zoo?
It was in elementary school.
We went to a zoo?
We went to the Safari Zoo. They have a liger, remember?
That's not a penguin.
Yeah, but no, there was also a penguin, but I'm just saying
was
they had a liger.
Was it in the desert? He was just
There was a penguin, and he was so miserable.
I was also drinking at 9 and 10. Sorry,
and the penguin was overweight, and I believe, if I remember correctly, we were joking about the penguin singing a song about how he's too overweight because he's so far from the Arctic Circle.
I love how in Nevada we think sand is conducive to a penguin, or hay, or dirt. You know how they have in Antarctica when the penguins are running on sagebrush?
There was a penguin there.
It was a
long time ago.
Because you have,
that was 25
here's
years
the
ago.
thing, and I want to be sensitive how I say it. You're a liar, and I don't always know. There was a penguin.
There was a penguin.
The Red Rock
25
Safari
years
Zoo.
ago, the Red Rock Safari Zoo had a penguin 25 years ago.
I own the Red Rock Safari Zoo, and there was
You
no
lie!
penguin.
That is lies. Okay, I actually do have a follow-up question. My experience with having kids, my wife and I waited 11 years of marriage before we had a kid. On purpose, but still, it was a long time. So we really got used to our couple dynamic with no kids. And so bringing a child into the relationship actually was quite the shock. And so you hear a lot of things from people. They say things like, oh my gosh, yeah, get ready to never sleep again. Or they say encouraging things like...
Do you know I've killed all of them? Go ahead.
Dude,
Go ahead, though.
No, seriously. They say things like, oh yeah, man, it's great until they start talking. Or, oh, it's so much fun until they start fighting back. Or, oh, you're going to experience the terrible twos. Enjoy time until then. Blah, 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 blah. The only thing that I've found is real, and I agree with you 100%, Jessica, is sleep. Mm-hmm. I had no idea how little you sleep, especially that first year with a kid. And that surprised me. I literally thought people were exaggerating about that. And truly, I think I went a year with probably 3 hours or less a night. My wife, even less. But everything else, I kind of feel is an exaggeration. My kid is honestly one of the orneriest, angriest, strongest, grumpiest kids out there compared to all of his peers whenever they hang out.
Go on.
And it's still just so much fun to be around him. Mm-hmm. The sleep thing is really the only thing that
other
I thought
countries
was
use it as torture. All right, Brittany. So, Brittany, you're a mom, and I'm hoping we have a different answer. Otherwise, we're all screwed. Do all your kids sleep?
Depends on the night.
They don't. So you don't sleep a ton.
I do, actually. I sleep pretty decently.
Oh, Godspeed. I'm glad one of us made it out as a parent.
Rub it in.
Well, so it's different. We've had different kids in our house. When we had our first placement, we were both working full time with a 2-week newborn. Mm-hmm. I don't think there will ever be a tired like that. Anthony had a stand-up desk at work and was falling asleep at his stand-up desk.
I did that. I have my stand-up desk and I fell asleep on it.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, and then I don't know what made us decide when that baby was 3 months that we could go ahead and take a 10-month-old, but we decided to, and it's Jude, so it worked out, but never, ever, ever have I ever been so tired in my life. And I thought a kid couldn't scream for 8 hours straight. I thought surely at some point he will fall asleep. No, didn't happen. But
the screaming.
He sleeps decently now. One of ours has a harder time than the other. Our daughter, however, sleeps like a champ. She sleeps until, like 10 every day. She's the best. She takes a 4-hour nap.
Did you notice?
Wow.
Okay, Jess and I noticed a difference. And if you feel like, I feel like Pastor Seth is judging me, I am. So we felt like going from 1 kid to 2, when you start multiplying, it makes a difference. Because when we had 1 kid, it was 2-on-1. How do you feel about when you started multiplying kids? I mean, did you have to pray more? Did you have to rebuke demons? Because I feel like when you start multiplying kids, it's not, this is what I mean. So, it's not like, you just go 1 to 2. We felt like the second one wasn't like, it just doubled. It felt like it almost tripled, almost like it's more than you think, especially when they're all sick or they're all tired. Because you come in and your spouse is sick, and then 2 kids are sick at one time. Like, I remember holding Riker while Maverick is puking and Jess is saying she doesn't feel good. I mean, how is it with you guys when you transitioned to, you went from 1 to, all right, now we're the parents of multiple kids?
So, for listener background, it's complicated for us because we had a newborn, so we were like, wow, we're parents.
Yeah.
And then we had a 10-month-old, and we were like, wow, we're parents of 2.
Jeez.
But the newborn was going to be leaving every month. We were like, he's going to go to his adoptive family this month. This month. So I think for me, I was really savoring that time. And so maybe I didn't notice so much. I will say I was scared to leave the house for the first, 3 months. I was like, I'm not going anywhere alone.
Yeah.
But then it was just us and Jude for 8 months. And then we added a kid, and we added a kid in January. He left again in April. We took our daughter in April. He came back in May. And in the course of this year, that one of the kids had a week stay in the hospital. I had 2 surgeries and I broke my ankle. So I would say that whole year I was just which was last year, I was just who am I? What day is it? Just surviving. So, and foster care is different too because you have visits and you have all these things that run your life. So from Jude, when we added the baby, I was tired, but it was semi-familiar territory. When the 3rd came along, I was like, what? There's not words. I've never been so tired in my life.
Yeah. Jess, are you about to say something?
Nope.
You just said something. Well, no, because I think it's interesting. All right, so Russell Moore, he's adopted 2 sons, and this is why I try to, and I apologize whenever I'm ignorant of this. When I look at Brittany, don't go, she's a foster mom, or this ice goes, she's a mom. And it's from C.S. Lewis, because he changed my mind, and Russell Moore. And anytime I can get a chance to make Brittany cry with stuff from C.S. Lewis, I will. But it's because, I'm sorry, we look at the Heavenly Father and go, that's my father. And yet foster, we go, well, you're a foster parent.
Right.
No, that's she's their mom. That's it. She's their mom. Say that. Like, oh, you're a mom? Okay, how many kids you got? This, okay, she's their mom. And I'm sorry, I see that. Because literally, she's stepping in this redemptive fashion into this dark world where others go, well, I'm only going to adopt if it's in another country and the media are watching. No, she's going, no, I'm being a mom. And that's it. She's being a mom. That's it. It's not a, well, secondary mom. She's being a mom. And I've been so inspired by it where I'm like, dang, man. Because I think here's the thing that bothers me. I think we only see this as sometimes a plan B or well, it's to do this. No. She, to me, is just being a mom and being a Christian of loving those. And I wish we value that more and went, and Jess is, I think agrees with me going, all right, here's your baby shower. 'Cause you're a mom. Mother's Day. 'Cause you're a mom. And that's it. Seriously, like, he's my heavenly father. And I look at him. I'm sorry. I love my earthly dad. But no one is being a greater father to me than the one who didn't have to be with me, but chose me. And think of that. With Brittany, she chose when, okay. And has been their mom. If anyone out there, because we have thousands of listeners, knows Brittany, she is a good mom. And Anthony is a good dad. So I look at this and go, no, that's it. And I think we need it as the church if we really say, all right, this will lose us stuff. If we really say we're pro-life, then you won't just care when they're in the belly. Mm-hmm. You'll care when they're born and about everything after that of raising them up, lifting them up as image bearers, loving them, praying for them, discipling them, showing them, hey, you have value. And to just look and not just go, well, it's a plan B. No. We love the widows, the orphans, the fatherless, the motherless, and those who love it, we back up and you give them affirmation. Instead of just saying the two issues are abortion or gay marriage. No. It's pro-life is all of life from womb to tomb. And I think Brittany's doing that. I don't know. It inspires me. And that's why I use the language I do of, you're a mom. Who are your kids? That's it. It's not, well, what type? No, she's a mom. Those are her kids.
I want to add 3 things to that. One.
Okay, go ahead.
One. Sorry, I'm going to super focus here. One, I think that's another reason Jessica and I are such good friends because she heard my heart's desire and like, I would text her at baby showers and be like, I just struggle because my kids are never going to be validated like this. And I feel like this is a rite of passage for women. Your motherhood starts at your baby shower kind of thing. Other women are acknowledging you. And I was like, it's just not, that's not the case for me. And my kids aren't being celebrated like this. And it's so sad because Imago Dei, they have as much worth as your birth child. And she was like, cool. And the minute I was like, hey, we're adopting again, boom, she was planning an adoption shower for me.
Nice.
I thought that was amazing. Like, there's no words. So that's part of why we're friends. 2, I'm going to get kicked off for this, but I think you can't be anti-abortion until you are working to make the church a safe place for mothers who are considering abortion or feel like they can't do it. Until we are the answer to the problem, you can't really say you're anti-abortion because if you're not involved at all and you're not even welcoming these people or making them feel valued and loved, how can you tell them like what you're doing is wrong? What are they supposed to do with their baby if they genuinely feel like they can't do it? Why can't we be part of the solution?
I agree.
Agree and wholeheartedly support. Thank you for saying that.
And 3, I feel like the church should be extremely involved in foster care because we're supposed to take care of the fatherless. And I don't think every family's called to adopt, and I don't think every family's called to foster, but there are so many ways to help. You can offer to babysit because there's a lot of kids in a lot of these homes, and it's hard to find babysitters. Bring meals, help with transportation, offer diapers sometimes. Sometimes you get a call in the middle of the night that you need to go get a baby, and so if you have extra clothes, or just there's so many ways to hop on and help without actually being a foster parent or adoptive parent.
So every Christian is called to adopt, just so we're clear. And no, I think that's because I really have felt this conviction from listening to you and like hearing Jess talk to me where I went, why do we only view it as a plan B as opposed to what if it's a calling? What if it's a conviction? Not just a well if. No, these kids look at the example Jesus uses for an example of what is faith. The kingdom belongs to such as these. He says, don't hinder these children coming to me. If you have faith like a child. He constantly uses them as an example, and we go, well, we care when you're in the belly. But once you're born, well, stop being poor. Stop being a dirtbag. Get off. Like,
definitely don't be a liberal.
Don't be a liberal. Get up. And here's the thing. That's why I agree. Womb to tomb. Life, if you are pro-life, is all life, every life, for all of life. It just is ridiculous to me to see people say, I care about this baby. And I say baby. I don't say fetus. I'm not trying to be self-righteous. That's the language I use. But to say, I care about this baby, and then see a homeless person and go, look at that lazy piece of scum. I just go, and I'm not saying I have the answer for all this, but it's our tone. It's our approach. It's our love. We're supposed to be, it says they will know us by how we love each other, by how we speak. I mean, Jesus, you could see him coming a mile away. It's just, I don't feel we're conveying that. They know us by, okay, you hate abortion and you don't like gay people. We can do more. We can have a multifaceted, full spectrum, just Christianity of looking and going, we have a biblical basis for our arguments, a reason, church fathers, church basis, historical basis, reasoning, sitting, disagreeing with each other, agreeing with each other, and having civil discussion to say, how do we face this instead of our options are right or left? We can do better. I think we can do better. I'm Rick Santorum, and I'm running for office.
I would agree with that, but I would say, too, there's something about foster care, and I have yet to successfully do this, and it's my heart's desire, but to really step into a parent's story and work with them and sit with them, because we learn a lot through foster care education about, it's called Bridges Out of Poverty, and how when you grow up in poverty, your brain is literally wired different. So things are so different for you, and learning to sit in that and help someone grow. And that's a lifelong thing, because you can't, the life of a case, within a year, change the way a person's brain is made. So you literally have to step in and mentor and kind of become a parent to the parent. And I just think that's such a beautiful part. And that's a part where I feel like the church can do better, because who better to do that than us who have Jesus as the answer?
Yeah, I think there's an admonition to older women to pour into younger women, biblical admonition. Yeah. And in addition, you see Paul pouring into younger men as their spiritual father, like he considers Timothy his spiritual son. And I think that's a form of, maybe not as intimate a form, but it's still a form of kind of what you're describing. And there are plenty of people who can't do foster or adoption. I mean, there's people who literally, because of what the state says, are ineligible for that.
Yeah.
You mean gay people?
No. I mean people who, and I actually don't know. I've heard some anecdotal situations for people who got refused to be able to be foster parents or adoptive parents, simply because of kind of their lifestyle, or not necessarily like their sexual orientation, Seth, but maybe that's part of it, but also because of just like they don't have stable jobs, or they don't have a big enough house, or things like that. And those are things that sometimes you don't have much control over.
I mean, sometimes when we started, we had a 2-bedroom apartment, so it's not, you don't have to have a ton of space. But I don't, if you already have kids and you're crammed in already.
Something like that.
Yeah. And there was an attitude towards LGBTQ people previously. They have revamped since. And now, if you're licensed to take teenagers, you even have to take a training on how to support LGBTQ children in care. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And in any case, though, I can't speak for people who aren't Christians, but I feel like I do have the ability to admonish people who are Christians that their responsibility is to somehow be mothers and fathers.
Yeah.
In some capacity. Maybe not through adopting or fostering, but at least in some capacity. And I think that's super important. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I do feel like there's people who, part of the reason they get comfortable in just being very consumeristic with the church is because they don't have that fire under them to be somebody's spiritual father or mother or whatever it may be. And so I think that's super important.
Can we finish the show? Jess wanted to have a segment where she talks about why she doesn't like white people. Just 15 minutes, I think.
We have been waiting for this for a long time.
I believe you referred to them now. I love you so much. Thank you for coming on. I mean, really.
You're welcome.
Because how long we been together, babe? Almost 10 years?
Yes.
And has it been a whirlwind?
Uh-huh.
But do you still love me?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's nice. I mean, should we ask the question? I know what Jess is going to say because she's a betrayer.
Let's,
Just love
yes.
me.
Let's start with Jessica.
Jessica.
Now, the question is first,
we fought for this in marriage.
What do you
we still love each other.
What do you love more, savory or sweet?
You changed it.
Yep.
There's literally crickets in the background while she's saying this. Cake or pie, Jess? Just say it. We love
Cake.
To Jessica.
Sorry. I just don't care for pie that much. But if there's cake, I'll eat it. So, sorry.
I love you so much, and this is something in heaven I know will be reconciled. And I appreciate that. Should we ask Britt? Oh, if we get 2 for 2.
Ugh,
David
Brittany.
Beck is going to have a parade about this.
He's so happy.
He's so happy.
He can have a cake parade for all I care.
What's the term he'll have a ride about? He'll have a party over there. What was? I'm looking for something. Some term of. He'll just have a fit about this.
A hill of beans? Is that it?
A hill of beans. He'll have a hootenanny over this. A boxcar social.
Brittany.
Yes.
Cake or pie?
Brownies? Is that neither? Brownies.
What is a brownie?
We have lost twice. No, that's not
That's
pie.
a cake,
and
huh?
no, it's
yeah,
not.
it's not a pie.
It's not because I don't like cakey brownies. I like fudgy, smushy, thin brownies, not cakey
Oh,
brownies.
almost like the lava. What's it called?
Yeah,
lava
lava.
cake.
Mhm.
I feel like lava cake is pie.
Not
be fair.
at all.
It's called cake.
It has a liquid center.
I feel like
and
German
a crusty
cake
outside.
is called pie.
It's not crusty, it's cake on the outside.
So
Actually, German chocolate cake, shouldn't that be pie too?
Nope, it's
no,
cake.
It's so similar to pie.
I'm so sick. You know what, you cake apologists? I'm still trying to think of David Beck is gonna have a fit over this, so he'll just have. What's it?
He's gonna have
a field
malarkey.
day. A field day
that's
over
it.
this.
Field day. Field day.
Malarkey.
I don't
What
know.
racist Irish crap? Is malarkey racist?
I don't know.
I
A
just
fiesta?
ever since marching.
trying to have cultural-
because I marched. I just I'm very sensitive to this man.
You marched?
Twice. I sent you a
For what?
hashtag.
For what?
Okay, we want to thank our guests, Brittany Augustine Cyborg, Jessica Nicole Wildshoot for poking me and pulling knives. Zip it up!
Zip it out.
Alright, done.